Hello folks, next picture I did this time, Iron Man from the Avengers, and I'm starting with my sketch where I'm trying to get the rough proportions. That was the first time where, because normally to check if I get the proportions right, I kind of take a picture with a cell phone, upload it, and in the graphics program I'll just overlay it to the real reference and try to find out if I got the proportions right. Here I just tried it without the overlaying at all, and in the end you will be able to tell yourself if I got the proportions right or not. So first, the basic outlines. You don't have to go too much to the details, because the next step will be covering all those areas with color. But when you're covering all the details, then you have to elaborate them again. So no need for that. So here you say this picture, it will be a combination of the Tombow double brush pens and the colored pencils. I decided this time to do it this way because, for example, when I did my Deadpool, it was completely done with colored pencils, and you could literally see how my red colored pencil was getting shorter and shorter because it needed so much of the color to cover those white areas of the paper. And the Tombow double brush pens instead, they cover the paper easily and quickly, so you can save time and you can save resources. And but the Tombow double brush pens are not good for details, so that's the reason why after drying you can use the color brush pens, the colored pencils, better to make the details. Also keep in mind the double brush pens are wet, so you need to pick a thick paper which is capable of carrying a certain amount of water without getting wavy, and also because you have different kinds of papers, and the thicker ones can be having a rough structure, so just watch for heavy paper which is very even, very plain. That's the best paper for these kind of projects. As you can see right now, I am elaborating or working on Iron Man's mask, metal mask, and I am also using like this stick with cotton on it, which you normally use to clean your ears, but it helps quite a lot to smudge the colors into each other. In the end, because if you really pay attention and you go really close to the picture, you see the single strokes of the shadow on the mask, and I applied some kind of oil to smudge them into each other a little bit. These colored pencils are oil and water solvent, so this is why it works here. So if you want to do or use the same technique, then you have to pay attention that the colored pencils are also water and oil solvent. Here now you see I am almost finishing the head of Iron Man, and I always decide when I do these kinds of projects, I decide to pick like one certain area and do it from the grounding or like the basic color until the finishing and the details. That kind of is like, to me, most motivational, because when I see how like one finished area develops, then I draw and paint myself into like state of mind that I can't wait to finish the painting, and it just lets me keep going, and the hours just fly by. And also, when you do like the whole area from like a piece of the area from the beginning till the details, then you don't have to go over it again. And as you can see, I'm right-handed, and so I start at areas where I don't have to go over again later. So there's not the danger or the risk that I smudge my own artwork with my own hand. So the head is finished. This is the biggest part on the top, and now I am completely on the left side. And it always like what was really convenient with Iron Man is that he has this polished metal, and you don't have to establish some sort of structure. Rather, you have to deal with reflections in this armor. So it was often the same process. First, use always the same red with the Tombow brush pens, and then I was using like white charcoal. There's this white colored pencil which can be smudged with a cotton stick really easily, and then you do the darker parts. This is also one advantage of laying the base color first with the double brush pens and then following up with the color pencils, because when you are putting layers of colored pencils over each other, then you will arrive at a state where there are so many layers and you cannot apply another layer. The color doesn't go off the pencil. And when you do the ground color already with colored pencil, this will let you reach this limit earlier. Means like when you're doing the ground color with double brush pens instead, you will give you more freedom to or you have more possibilities to shade or add additional layers for your painting. So as you can see, I left out the center part of his where Tony Stark's heart is, and I'm basically coloring the armor around it. Here you see, because I think it was in the first or second Iron Man movie where he was using the shoulder missiles, and here you see the picture where those shoulder missiles are like coming out of his armor, ready to shoot. And I didn't use any specific tools to make this circle shape in his chest. On the one hand, to challenge myself, on the other hand, to like keep the picture like as natural as possible. If you have your hand strokes, you know that everything was done by yourself. And as you can see, when you define where the lighting is come from, then you also can tell how the shading develops around this armor, and you have like a change of the shape of the armor close to the engine or the heart of the armor. So you really have to pay attention to that. What I'm talking about is like if you see this circle, this little circle around his heart. I call it his heart. Or engine, heart, I'll call it heart. Yeah, this circle around his heart, you see there's a change of the form, and this also makes the lighting different. And it's really, if you paid attention how I was doing it, you don't have to pay attention on like a lot. You only have to use the white charcoal, then you use the smudging, and you can make this nice fading effect and then on the right side you have to apply the normal ground color and just darken it down a bit, and then you have already basically only with 3 colors you can create this implication or this illusion of like really good 3-dimensionality. So this is now and as you already said, I used very light blue for the heart, and of course his heart is shining because light is coming out, and in the end I will apply a technique how I will put lighting on it. So this is the side when the shoulder cannons are coming out, then of course the armor has to make space, and this is what I'm drawing right now. Look at the reflection of these shoulder plates, like closer to his back. I just left the space white and it creates this illusion of reflection of metal. So you really can just use the paper for creating highlights. But you have to, before you start, you have to know where the highlights are, of course. Alright, second shoulder cannon is done. Only the half of it, because the whole thing didn't had enough space on this piece of paper. Yeah, there on this side you can look a little bit into the mechanics of the shoulder. Of course, this area which is like beneath the armor is dark, covered in shadow. Here you have this mechanics I'm talking about. When I was because I studied, I'm an engineer, but when I watched the first Iron Man movie, I really wanted to start welding. Just build your own stuff. So this movie was like the perfect advertisement for either study engineering or start an education or start welding, something like that. And here you see the upper arm has this yellowish color where I add some lighting and some shadows. And of course this color should be similar to the mask's color. So I add some of this brownish and black tones to make this metal tone, because it wasn't like gold yellow, it was a different color, as you can see. Well, did you know that Iron Man had like in total 50 different suits? Hulkbuster included, of course, but like I didn't really realize that there were so many different ones. I should do some research, like of which movie this one was. And this is like almost the last thing I'll do. This is this upper arm going to the armpit, to the lower arm. And this is with charcoal, is the white charcoal, and then smudging again is the lighting. And here I am using the oil to kind of move the colors into each other. And that's the whole thing. Thanks for listening.